saying, right? जो दिखता है वही बिकता है. So probably content creation is something that is playing that game, because the more content you post, the more you will be visible to the people. Yes, I'm a recruiter. Of course, I'm in stress. Yes, I'm a recruiter. Of course, I have great negotiation skills. So it was that reel that went viral. Then in my masters, I went back to home, and now I was like, I am not going to sit at home and get into that typical life of a woman. I wanted to do something out of all these years of education. It's known for food and food and food. In fact, there is a saying कि काशीनु मरण અને सूरतनु जमन, which means Kashi is the end and Surat is known for the food, right?
इंजीनियर बनना है, इंजीनियर का डिग्री चाहिए. अगर
Right.
डॉक्टर का डिग्री चाहिए. बट रिक्रूटमेंट में एक ऐसा है कि आपको कोई भी डिग्री से भी मिल सकता है. Only thing is you have to be empathetic towards.
I landed to your YouTube channel, and that's when I saw that you guys have been doing a lot of podcasts. And that time I thought that one day I will also be a part of this podcast, and it was so exciting to see your call and asking me for this. So thank you
Everyone, welcome to I'm a Recruiter podcast. I'm your host, Prafula Deori. I'm thrilled to have you with us today. I'm a Recruiter is more than just a podcast. It's a movement by and for talent acquisition professionals, and you are here to seek things out. Our vision as a community is to create a seamless network of recruiters from classroom to boardrooms. Our mission is to collaborate platform that connect and empowers recruiters, providing end-to-end support across talent acquisition. If you're getting value out of our content, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, share, and let us know what you think in the comment section. Let's build this community together. With this, it's time to welcome our guest. We have a fantastic guest lineup for you today. Her name is Neha. Neha Garg has almost like 5+ years of experience in talent acquisition field, including roles at Dimao, Sort Amusement. Neha brings a wealth of knowledge to the table. And if you're looking for a content creation tips, you are at the right place. Neha is also creative force behind Instavali HR. Get ready for the dynamic conversation. So with this, welcome Neha. We are really grateful to have you in I Am Recruiter podcast. Thank you so much for your time. We are really excited to see what kind of conversation we are going to have forward. And definitely, I'm pretty sure that all our guests will at least take some kind of good tips in terms of content, in terms of recruitment from our podcast. So once again, welcome Neha.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prapula. And firstly, thank you for inviting. It really means a lot. I mean, I'll tell you honestly, when I was going through the I'm Recruiter community over the platforms, I landed to your YouTube channel. And that's when I saw that you guys have been doing a lot of podcasts. And that time I thought that one day I will also be a part of this podcast. And it was so exciting to see your call and, asking me for this. So thank you for having me firstly.
No worries. It's my pleasure, Neha. Okay, so before we start, we just wanted to know a little bit about Neha's background, where you were born and brought up, what was your education background, and how did you ended up in talent acquisition?
Okay. So I am a small town girl. I am from Junagadh, which is in the Saurashtra part of Gujarat. And I did my schooling. I did my bachelor's from Junagadh. Then I moved to Rajkot, where I did my master's. Again, my graduation and my master's has been in business administration. So that's how did I completed my education. Then I took up my first job. That was in a consulting firm, again, where I was doing recruitment for the various BFSI clients, all the banks and NBFCs. Then to DMart, again, where I was into complete talent acquisition life cycle for the region, the entire South Gujarat region, that is Surat and the nearby cities. Now, presently, I am with Short. Again, I am heading the talent acquisition department. This is how the entire thing has happened.
Nice. And how did you end up getting into talent acquisition or recruitment side, Neha?
Okay. So firstly, HR itself as a specialization was never in the boards, I would say. When I took MBA, I was very keen towards marketing in the first year. But then I come from a place where there was a misconception or a notion that is all about the door-to-door selling job. So then I did not take that specialization. And the other two options were finance and international business. So again, that were not my interest areas. So the last option that I could resort to was HR. However, I do not regret it at all. I literally am very thankful that I took that decision of taking HR. So once I completed my master's, I went back to home, and now I was like, I am not going to sit at home and, get into that typical life of a woman. I wanted to do something out of all these years of education that I've taken. So then I took up the very first job that I got, which was with Adric, and I'm grateful that I took that, because I learned a lot of things into recruitment. Obviously, it was just a part of recruitment, yet the entire life cycle was to be learned. But a lot of callings, which is obviously the first part of recruitment where you are the most reluctant and hesitant. So yeah, this is how I landed into recruitment.
Good to know. I think almost everyone, some or the other, So we have done almost like 40 plus podcasts, and somehow storyline of each recruiter is very much the similar. What excites me about your profile is you also have your own content creation channel. So can you also talk a little bit about Instavali HR journey? The idea came to your mind, and definitely with job, it really need lots of extra effort as well, right? To start something additional.
I am somebody who likes to be very creative. I can't keep doing monotonous things all the time. I get bored very easily. So after my first break, I took a break. It was a 3 year long break. Now I can't sit idle at home. So I started doing internships into content creation, into blogging. I learned social media content strategizing. That's when I started my first YouTube channel, like NG Sings, where I was actually singing. I used to create videos while I was singing. I used to sing songs. Even used to change the lyrics of certain songs and present some different kind of songs altogether. So that's when I started my content creation journey. And somehow I couldn't continue that. And then I again took up a job. I came to Surat, back to Surat from Junagadh. So Surat is known for food. In fact, there is a saying, means Kashi is the end and Surat is known for the food, right? So I started creating content around food and travel. But later on, I realized that this is going to take a lot of time, in editing and everything. So then I created a page called Kojin Minds. I created another account where I thought I'll be posting random stuff, anything like daily vlogs. It could be any random meme that I wanted to. So that is how I just one day created some content around recruitment. It was this reel that, yes, I'm a recruiter. Of course, I'm in stress. Yes, I'm a recruiter. Of course, I have great negotiation skills. So it was that reel that, went wider. Then the rest is history. And then it was like till the month of December only. His name was Cogent. I thought that now this is completely getting into HR, completely getting into recruitment. So it's time to rename it to something which is more relatable to HR. So then I renamed it to Instavali HR, which makes it more relative.
So I have gone through a couple of your videos, and something have I think you have picked up some of the right topic which every recruiter face challenges, right? But none of us try to talk about those things, right? So
Yes.
definitely I would say that it takes lots of courage to talk about those challenges in front of millions and millions of people. So great job, first of all. And definitely you are very courageous. So keep doing the good stuff you have been doing. So all the best. So other similar question which I wanted to know, I have also seen that you have talked about some of the funniest moment in the Instavali HR. So what is one of the funniest or most unexpected response you have received from the candidate during interview?
Yeah. When we are taking video interviews, I believe that the camera of both the parties should always be on because either of the parties may feel it disrespectful. So similarly, while I was taking one interview, I had kept my camera on. Now, this position was not a very senior position. It was a profile where I was hiding for somebody at 10th or 12th pass. So you can understand the
Yes.
kind of candidate that must be. So again, my camera was on. And as soon as we started, the candidate was constantly smiling. I said, what happened? I mean, we are in an interview. Why are you smiling like this? So he said, I'm very shy. So I was like, we are in an interview. There's nothing to be shy. I mean, the camera is going to be on. But then he was constantly smiling and not comfortable. So I asked him to switch off the camera. And then we both of us switched off the cameras. And then I don't know, maybe there was a friend or something with him. So suddenly a voice came, ma'am, you're looking very cute. I was like, what am I supposed to make out of this? I mean, should I laugh at the immaturity of this candidate or should I scold at him? That was really unexpected. I mean, there are many such instances, but this is something which was obviously out of the box. And again, this brings me to a fact that being a female recruiter, again, the safety that is of the female recruiters at the social media is again a matter of concern. This was a small thing, not a bigger thing, but again, this should be considered and brought into picture where something needs to be done again for this. So even on LinkedIn, you must be seeing a lot of people, a lot of female HRs and recruiters posting about this. So I mean, yeah,
Yep,
just to
yep, yep. Yes, I have also seen you that video where you have spoken about LinkedIn, how people comment different thing as well. Even my wife, he was also a recruiter initially, then she moved to an HRBP. So even she stopped looking her messages because of this kind of message which people randomly drop to any of the female recruiter, right? So when I was asking her, why have you not read your messages? There might be some interesting topic or there might be some important message. She told it, no, these people are just send some kind of bakwas messages. I don't want to get involved and all. So I try to just ignore it. But her
Right.
message was, right? But again, instead of ignoring, sometimes we have to talk on those particular points, right? If we try to keep ignore, people will try to do the same thing. And we
Correct.
have to bring those kind of people in spotlight, right?
Correct.
Okay. So now next question is regarding hiring. As a recruiter, we all have lots of hiring requests from our hiring managers and all. Have you ever had any kind of mission impossible hiring request from your hiring manager? And how did you take?
Yeah, I mean, will not name the company here, but all the positions of that company were having certain criteria wherein it was really difficult to find all the candidates meeting those criteria. And this company stringent that these criteria have to be met. There was no flexibility into that. So here I was given with a task of around hiring 18 to 19 such positions. I was able to close the junior level positions, but when it came to senior level, it was really a mission impossible task. Out of 19, I had selections obviously, but I could barely close one position. That candidate could, somebody who joined the organization till the last level. There was only one such candidate who literally joined. Otherwise, all other candidates were somewhere for one or the other reason they dropped out. So that is really a mission impossible. And even today, I feel that is impossible task because I see the recruiters still struggling on that part. So I don't know how are they doing that, but yeah.
Many of the recruiters face similar kind of situation where either the business have lots of unrealistic or expected. For example, so I have seen one meme somewhere. So the budget which the hiring manager have is for a donkey or so, but his expectation is for horse or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So I've seen that reel or meme, and I was so able to relate with that particular reel. And it's a fact, right? It's not only with you or me. It's happening everywhere, but we don't talk as a recruiter.
Because we are somebody who can't talk about it. It's like a taboo for us.
Yes. But being an Instavali HR, I think you have the right platform, right audience to talk and discuss. So that sometimes it's very important to make it in a fun way so that people can adjust or absorb the content.
Actually, that makes it lighter and doesn't make anybody feel offended also.
Yes. I feel sometimes when the reason why I don't feel talking about serious stuff in my podcast is I talk serious stuff in podcast and people doesn't like it.
Yes, it happens. Yes.
Okay. Great. Person Neha. So what are you currently doing? Like what is your current roles and responsibility?
Okay. So I am currently associated with Short Amusement Limited. This is basically an indoor amusement center, game zone. And here I am leading the entire talent acquisition department. I'm leading a team here wherein I take care of all the recruitment, right from junior level to senior level for the organization. And the reason basically why I moved from a company like Dima to Short is because I wanted this creativity space when it comes to doing this content and recruitment. So that is something which I was getting an opportunity to work with at Short, because here I'm not just doing the recruitment lifecycle part, but I'm also handling the employer branding. So I take care of their LinkedIn page. I take care of their Instagram. In fact, I have revamped their entire career website. So again, I feel that career website is an important part when it comes to recruitment. You can't expect the kind of applications that you're looking out for through a generic form. So
Yeah.
I again created an entire, I revamped it. I added vision, mission, everything. So the complete recruitment lifecycle, and I constantly look out for more sources of recruitment here. That is what I spend my entire free time at office. So where I can find more new sources for finding candidates.
And what kind of role you generally hire?
So we have managers, we have supervisors, then we have guest relations officer, we have electricians, we have technicians, and we have all the support function like accounts, purchase, sales.
And like what kind of job portal you search these people? Like you go to any specific job portal or you just find a candidate through employer referral or through the career site?
So we use all the sources that we can when it comes to ground line hiring, like as I say, 10th, 12th pass. So these people we get generally from Indeed and Apna. And when it comes to senior position, we first try to get them through references, through the inner references. And if we don't, then we obviously go to LinkedIn or maybe Naukri. And it comes to certain niche positions, and obviously you have to go ahead hunting.
So what is the difficult role for you to hire in this particular domain or in this particular sector?
Honestly, so far, what I find as a challenge over here is when the company has certain expectations and the kind of budget they set, and similar to that, the kind of candidates that are available in the market. So I think for any particular position, I never have faced here any kind of such challenge. The only problem that we have faced is the kind of caliber and their market value this compared to the budget that we have in the organization. So we always have faced this situation where we had to negotiate with the hiring managers on for raising the bar for the budgets to get the right kind of candidate that they are searching.
I think again, like when you were talking about your challenge, I was I was feeling that it's the same challenge even I'm having in the organization I'm working with, right? So it's the same problem everyone faces, right? The budget issue, stakeholder management, convincing your hiring manager with the market intel and other things. It's always there. Some things we don't know how to solve. We are trying our best, but we don't know what to do.
So again, here comes into the picture. I have been working on this content currently. That is the art of persuasion for a recruiter. That is something which we really as recruiters need to learn, because we are not just persuading or trying to convince the candidates. We are at the same time trying to persuade the hiring managers. We are going to pitch the candidates also to them. So it's not like one-sided where we are only just pitching the job vacancies to the candidates. We are also going to sell the candidate to the hiring.
Totally agree. Like most of the time, the hiring manager feel that we just try to bring the candidate to the organization, but that's not the fact, right? So we are not just trying to sell the role to the candidate, but we are also trying to sell the company to the candidate as well. It's both the way, right? But
Yes.
I think only one side of the picture generally the hiring managers see. They don't try to understand from recruiter's glance.
But I'm very lucky to have such manager, honestly speaking, who relies on me when it comes to recruitment. So that is again a different kind of experience that you get when you are working with a manager. It is very difficult if the manager does not trust your sourcing skills, your sourcing abilities, because that is again what creates an issues. Or maybe I would rather using the word issue, I would say that will create a bridge between the hiring manager and the recruiter. So first that comes into the picture that the hiring managers should be trusting their recruiters.
Trust is definitely important, I would say.
Yes, because obviously a recruiter has also put some effort. They have understood the complete requisition that has been received by the recruiters, and then they are sharing the profiles. So yeah, there is a gap again.
Agree. So, okay, we have been talking a little bit about recruitment now. So, wanted to make it a little bit more light, right? So, whenever you are not hiring or whenever you are not working, so what are the different things you love to do, Neha?
Okay, so I think we have spoken about all of the three hobbies that I have. That is art and craft. Obviously, right now I'm not much pursuing into that because that again needs a lot of time. But I love creating content currently that I have. Maybe I can say I have turned into passion and I'm working towards it. But I just enjoy creating content, and because now I'm creating content at the same time I'm learning editing, how to edit videos. So that has again become my pastime currently. Otherwise, I read books. I have started again. I used to read a lot of books during my masters, but now again I've started reading books so that I can get more and more insights about what has happened throughout or what are the various other. Because when you're working as a recruiter, you also need to understand a candidate's psychology behind the words that he's saying. You need to understand the psychology also. So again, that is something which I think I get a lot of insights from the books. So again, that is what I'm doing recently. So yeah, these are the few things that I'm doing.
Nice. So, for the people who are thinking of starting something in content creation and all, any tips for them, like why they should create content in terms of anything, in terms of LinkedIn post, in terms of Instagram or Insta, in terms of reels or shorts, any advice for the people why they should create content?
So I would say in today's kid, there is a saying, right? Jo dikhta hai, wahi bikta hai. So probably content creation is something that is playing that game, because the more the content you post, the more you will be visible to the people. And for me, I'll tell you my personal experience. The more I have told people, through my content that I'm a recruiter, through my various memes or any random post, I am constantly telling people that I'm a recruiter. How has that helped me? Because I am getting now more and more applications without me asking for it. So I say everybody out there should be doing this kind of work. If he's or she is a graphic designer, they should be creating content around that. Or if somebody is a CA, they should be creating content around that, because that is going to help you indirectly or directly. You will not have to go and say, recruiter, hire CA, come to me, I'll do your work. You will not have to do that. People will see your work through your content and they will approach you directly. So everybody in today's time should have a personal brand. It can be on any platform.
I totally agree. Give some example as well, right? Even if you see lots of entrepreneurs, lots of film stars, or lots of cricketers, even they are currently available in LinkedIn or any other platform.
Yes.
Even they are trying to create some kind of content as well by writing a
Correct.
post or
Everybody.
talking about their generic day-to-day life and other things.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I constantly tell people to do personal branding, and especially they should learn marketing skills, everybody today, because everyone is selling one or the other thing. If you're into business, you're selling a product. If you are into job, again, you're selling your skills. So that is something which is a must in today's time.
Okay. Do you also think like since you have a business background, is it helping you in terms of creating your content? Like you already have the business mindset, you know what kind of thing customer might be looking for, or let's say your content, what kind of people might be consuming. So since you are from business background, does it help you in creating a good content?
See, when you are selling a product now, you are going to see your customers right away. So when they look at your product, they are going to give some reaction. They may not say anything, but they will give some reaction, right? So that reaction will help you understand whether this customer will buy this product or not, right? But when you are creating content, that is not something which you can do. You cannot see your audience, what they are going to, how they are going to react to their expressions, right? So all you have is your comment section. All you have is your message section where you get
Right.
the DMs or maybe you get the feedback. So this one thing is definitely there, that when you are selling a product, it's much more easier when you're rather than when you're creating content. You have to be that eye catchy for the audience that they do not, swipe your content away. So this is something which we can relate.
Yeah. Yeah. As a content creator, how can someone start? Can they start just writing something, or they can just start writing normal diary, or like what is the recommendation? Till they start creating their own videos, or like, because not everyone is comfortable talking in front of camera, right?
Yes.
Me personally, as a recruiter, I sometimes feel that I am introvert as well as extrovert. Sometimes feel that both, right? But when I'm comfortable, I can talk a lot. But when I'm not comfortable, I don't feel like talking as well. The recruiter, I also feel that I am shy of the camera as well. And that is the same story I have been hearing from most of the people I have invited in the podcast. They're not comfortable talking in front of camera. And because of that, they are trying to learn something new and putting themselves in that tough situation by going to different places where they can talk more. But
Yes, I totally agree. There are many people who are not comfortable coming on camera. So for them, written content is completely fine, textual content. Even on Instagram, there are many pages which do not upload reels at all. They have not yet started posting reels. They just write some content and create a post and they share it. So anywhere, I mean, you should be, if you are liking to create content, if you are loving to write, you can create content anywhere. You start writing in a diary, and maybe then when you're comfortable, post it anywhere, wherever you like. If you think that LinkedIn is the right space to post, just post it. If you think Instagram is the right space to post, just post it. So I think even if you're not comfortable coming into the camera, it's completely fine. Textual content is also there. People are there who wants to read also. Not everybody wants to, see videos. Some are interested in reading, they will read. That is why there is LinkedIn also in space. LinkedIn, in fact, has recently started videos. Otherwise, it was earlier completely.
videos, yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Okay, so the next question I have for you, see, your contents are really good in terms of recruitment. Can people, like, do you also try to educate people from your content in terms of not recruitment, but also like inspiring people to talk in publics and other things as well? Definitely, we're trying to solve the recruitment piece. But as a content creator, do you also think there are lots of other people who might be your audience as well?
Yes. So earlier I was posting content just from the point of view of recruitment. Why? Because I found there a gap. I was not seeing any content creator creating content from the side of HRs or recruiters. So that is the main reason why I took this ahead. But recently, if you see my latest videos, I'm also focusing on job seekers and trying to create content. What I as a recruiter felt that these are the things which in the candidates is lacking. Or maybe this is where we can educate the candidates. So recently, I have started doing this from the perspective of job. Yes, gradually, maybe I will take it to another level where I will be talking about what all other things as a person you can do to develop skills. So maybe, yeah, later on we can do that. But currently, I'm focusing on these two spaces. So recruiter or maybe HRs in total, not just recruitment, but at the same time, job seekers, because everybody, even recruiters and HRs are also job seeker first.
Job seekers.
So, yes.
And before creating any content, we should also have the sweet spot of ourselves, right? Which specific audience we are targeting, so that create a persona of them. Like because initially, if we try to create lots of broad kind of content, we might not be able to target the right audience, right?
Yes.
For example, even you or me, right? When we are trying to create a content, we are trying to create a content for a specific group set of people, right?
Yes.
So why do you think it's important to identify your interests, and based on that, you have to create that particular similar kind of content?
Very important, honestly speaking, because see, if I am somebody who is creating content for, say, a business, right? So when it is relatable to a businessman, they are going to see that content, but that is for just one reel. If second reel will be completely opposite to maybe travel, and that person is not at all interested in traveling, will unfollow, or he or she will unfollow me right away. So if you want to, a long-term relation with your audience, you need to have a niche that is relatable to that set of audience. You can't basically create content into multiple niches. Otherwise, firstly, it will also confuse the algorithm, because when it comes to the algorithm of the apps, again, that plays an important role, because they also target they show your content to specific set of people who are engaging with your content. So say today somebody from the space of recruitment has engaged with my content, but tomorrow if I'm not posting anything in regards to recruitment, something completely different, then again it will be showcased to recruiters which they will not engage with. So again, the algorithm of the apps will also have confusion there.
Agree. So since we are talking about content, I was also seeing one of the content which talk about ghosting. So there are recruiters talking a lot about ghosting. That candidate, they are, so as a recruiter, we often complain about candidate ghosting. But have you ever ghosted any company by mistake?
Yes,
Or any?
honestly, I'll tell you, when I started as a recruiter, we do not understand the consequences of ghosting. So as a recruiter, when I was working with the first company, see, this is again a gap that I see as recruiters, that one thing that should be taught to any new coming fresher is that to build a long-term relation with the candidate, not just focus on the position in hand. So the similar kind of gap I also had when I started as a recruiter. I was not aware that we should focus on building a relationship, not just focus on the position. Recently, it happened by mistake when working on one position. This position was a senior level position. Spoke with this candidate. In fact, I headhunted that candidate via LinkedIn and I approached the candidate. But on paper, the candidate seemed very perfect. But after I spoke to the candidate, you always come across such candidates whom we keep aside thinking we will showcase this candidate maybe later when we do not find anything. So we keep them as backup. So this was one such candidate. And after speaking to that candidate, I found him a little immature for the kind of position that we were hiring for. But still, I kept him because on paper, it looked very nice. So after a couple of months, we were able to close that position. But unfortunately, I forgot to mention to that candidate that we have closed this position. We are not moving ahead. And then later on, when I had posted something on LinkedIn, that candidate even commented on that post that this thing coming from you doesn't seem to be right. Felt very bad that I should have messaged this guy that we are not going ahead. But then I also took the right decision to not take that candidate ahead because somewhere the comment itself seemed to be very immature. So yeah, this was one such instance.
So, like someone who is not from the recruitment background, right? So, of time people assume lots of things about recruiters, right? For example, recruits one thing about being a recruiter that people outside the profession completely misunderstand. Like they misunderstand about recruiters, the outside people.
Okay, so this one thing I have heard a lot in the comment section of my post as well as on DM that recruiters conduct interview for time pass. They don't really have vacancies. I'm like, why would any recruiter do interviews for time pass? I mean, we do not get candidates, and we are always stressed out in finding candidates for the critical position. And when we hear such comments that we do interviews for time pass, I mean, like, why would anybody do that? Neither the panel has time for it, and nor the recruiters have time for to just call candidates, have fun with them. I think that is something that happens. Honestly, that's the point. Like the punching bags are the HRs and the recruiters for any organization.
Yes. So again, moving to our next question. So if you could change one thing about recruitment industry, let's say आपके पास कोई power आ जाता है, super power, ठीक है, चीज आपको change करने का मौका मिलता है recruitment industry.
The image that the recruiters have in the market. So again, I see there is a problem here. I have seen a lot of companies, when they want to cut down their budgets and they want to hand a budget, they hire people from any background, any non-HR background, and then they as an HR or recruiter who doesn't know anything about HR, who doesn't know anything about this space. And they are just given the training to the level, to the extent that is required by the organization. Now, what happens is employees will come expecting things from that particular employee that, okay, he's designated as recruiter, this is expected out of him. But that person doesn't even know what his job is. He is doing exactly what the company or the management has told him. So this is one reason, one of the several reasons why the defamation of the HRs is happening, the recruiters is happening. So again, I know this is not something which can happen overnight. And one of the key missions behind Instavali HR is also to, bring back that value of the image of this department in total. So yeah, this is one thing that I am looking forward to change maybe someday.
Okay. But on the other hand side, Neha, if you see, recruiter is only one job that which can be done by any graduate, postgraduate, or anyone who is interested in is, I would say, who is dealing with people, who can handle people, who can empathize with people, right? So do we really need a skill or a graduation or a certificate to become a recruiter? Because अगर आपको इंजीनियर बनना है, इंजीनियर का डिग्री चाहिए. अगर आपको डॉक्टर का डिग्री चाहिए. बट रिक्रूटमेंट में एक ऐसा है कि आपको कोई भी डिग्री से भी मिल सकता है. Only thing is you have to be empathetic towards the people.
So honestly, earlier I also used to think that way. But when you are talking to a candidate, specifically working as an internal recruiter, you need to have the knowledge on the various policies. You need to have the knowledge on what is PF or what is ESIC or what is professional tax. Why are we deducting this? So this is first thing. Again, when it comes to various policies, you should be knowing what all policies, what are the benefits of the various policies that we have, why they are into place. Secondly, when you're working as an external recruiter, say for example, somebody from the engineering background, to recruit people from engineering background rather than pharmaceutical. So there's something which it can help. Definitely anybody can be a recruiter for sure, but it will be easier if somebody comes from the relevant background. And specifically when you're working as an internal recruiter, I personally believe that as an internal recruiter, I should have the basic knowledge about the various functions of HR, the various Cs and the compliances that we have.
Sure. So moving to our next question, right? So as a recruiter, we always talk to lots and lots of candidates, right? So as a recruiter, do you also see some kind of red flag talking to the candidate? Because sometimes those red flags are once you see those things, it instantly come to your mind, hey, इसमें रेड फ्लैग है, राइट? ये नहीं चलेगा
Yes.
फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर
Yes.
रोल.
Organization which is very particular about the cultural fitment. I think all the companies should be looking forward to cultural fitment of every employee. So one important aspect is obviously the kind of attitude that the candidate is coming with. So I'll tell you, recently we had an interview. This was for, again, HR department itself. And the body language itself, when the candidate sat on the chair, and immediately when his body language showed us that we should not even take his interview, but we had to do something because, again, we can't give this feedback to the candidate that, hey, your body language is not appropriate, or hey, you are showing attitude in your tone. So again, that is a thing. But yes, there are certain red flags. Again, there was one instance on the CV that candidate was perfectly relevant. The industry was relevant. The experience was relevant. When I spoke over the call, again, telephonic screening was perfect. He sounded completely relevant to us. When we started the first round of interview, that was a video interview. Again, the initial glimpse was perfect. But once we started talking to the candidate, we realized that everything on paper and so far, whatever he told was a lie. He was not doing any of those things, and he was probably just coordinating the various functions, but he was not doing any of it. So sometimes you get to know such red flags at the very initial level, but sometimes it takes you till the last stage to identify whether this candidate is a red flag or not. But yes, we as HR, we as recruiters have to constantly look out for, we have to catch, "Okay, this will not work." So it's like we constantly have to be open-minded that kahin pe bhi kuch bhi lag na kar jaye.
Yes, we sometimes knowingly or unknowingly also can identify those red flags, right? Because
Yes, yes,
every day we talk to so many candidates, become a practice of our mind, I would say, right? Automatically,
yes.
without we commenting our mind, it only says that signal पे ये red flag है.
Yes, it becomes, it gets instilled in our minds. Ke yahan pe click kar jayenge. We will listen to the tone. Apart from that, we'll see postures. We'll see how this is groomed. Everything. We'll see everything. This becomes subconscious habit of every recruiter, I suppose.
Really. So Neha, since you are from Gujarat, right? I just wanted to know a little bit about more from TA perspective from Gujarat, right? Because for me, I have been in Karnataka or Bangalore for almost like 13, 14 years now, right? So I have been in the recruitment industry for such a long time here. So here the market is very competitive, right? In general, right? So I have been hiring in telecom space. I have been hiring in big data space. I have been hiring in different content creation kind of space as well, right? So marketing Gujarat, like, is it very competitive, similar to Bangalore or major tier one cities, or like things are picking up market? How is the trend?
Yes, obviously things are slow here, a bit slow compared to other areas that we have the metros. The market is not that competitive as it is in metros. In the kind of competition we are talking about is again for the male-oriented community. Again, when it comes to female, obviously the number of people into this domain or into this market is lesser. Besides, the career orientation kind of mindset is something which I personally have in my experience seen less when it comes to females compared to males. So market is competitive. Obviously, it is not that high as compared to metros, but yes, this is one such scenario that I have so far observed in Gujarat. The females are less career oriented.
Is it because of the cultural difference? Because mostly people are from like business background and like the way they were like taught in their
Sort of.
family and other
Yes.
things. Is
Yes,
it
yes,
because of
definitely that plays one of the major roles. However, things are changing now gradually. More and more females are coming into the space and they're also getting more into that world or say world. They are working towards it. But yes, definitely culture has a place to stay here where they still need to get into this market and, look out for more career oriented mindset.
since you have been in the industry for almost 5 years now, do you still feel similar kind of challenges in the industry across different companies? Because you have worked with multiple different companies, right? So just wanted
Okay.
to know from your perspective, have you also
Okay.
faced any kind of challenges in terms of growth, in terms of opportunity wise, because of this male-female kind of thing?
Thankfully, no, I have not because firstly, I'll tell you, this company where I was working in Adric, it was highly female dominated company because mostly in consultancies, you'll see more recruiters are females. So again, that was a highly female dominated company. In the second company, DMart, again, the department which I belong to, which was that a regional office department. So I was like the one out of two female employees in the entire level of regional office. The rest of other 38 employees were male. So again, we did not face any of such issues where we were dominated. In fact, we were always respected. And the culture of DMart itself is to respect everybody at an equal level. So that was something which was never in question. When it comes to growth, no. Again, that was never because of gender. Everyone was very job oriented. That if the person is performing, you will get the raise, you will get the growth. And again, when it comes to my current organization, here also we are mostly female dominated in the HR department. There is one male guy, and the three of us are females. So no such things we have faced. So.
Good to know. At least the reason why I try to ask is I'm trying to connect with every corner of India's recruiter, right? I'm trying to contact each recruiter from every place and trying to understand how India is evolving. We have been hearing that India economy is growing, right?
Yes.
Is this the real fact? So because of that, I'm just trying to understand from that perspective.
Yeah.
Moving to the next question, we are almost on the time. So I have just last two questions for you. So if you had named a superpower that every recruiter need, what would be and why? Like any superpower which a recruiter should have.
Okay. I would not use the term superpower. In fact, I call it a major responsibility that we recruiters have is of the candidate experience, because for the candidate, recruiters are the first point of contact for any organization. So we have that in hand to make or break the image of a company, the image, basically the employer brand of any organization for the candidates. So we as recruiters have a huge responsibility here. So we should use this responsibility as a superpower, that we build that kind of candidate experience program where we, right from the first stage of calling to the candidate till the last stage of the onboarding, we give a very good experience to the candidate, because even if the candidate is not joining, he should be in a position to recommend it to 10 other people that I did not join, but hey, this is a very good company, you should go. So now that is in the hands of a recruiter. So this is possible only when we utilize our skills, that is maybe our superpower, as you name it, properly.
Yes.
So this is something which I think as a recruiter plays a very important role.
I totally echo that. Definitely, candidate experience play a role in every organization in attracting any talent, right? So, just for an example, if we go for any restaurant as well, if we don't get good experience, will you go to that particular restaurant, right?
We will
So the
not go
example
in
is
fact, we will,
great, great. Last question before we wind up our call: if someone is starting his or her career in recruitment, what advice you would love to give to them?
okay. Honestly, there is a huge list of things that we can tell to recruiters, but I would tell firstly two things. First, have a lot of patience. You need to have a lot of patience to face a lot of ghosting, a lot of requirement changes, a lot of calls, obviously, definitely. So first, a lot of patience. Secondly, to focus on building long-term relationship with every candidate that we speak to, rather than focusing on the position in hand. So I'll share my example. There was one candidate who was not shortlisted with our vacancy, with our position. But because the candidate had a good experience, I was in a position to ask for references from that candidate. We also got the reference, and now that reference is working with us very successfully. It was possible only because we had a great relation throughout the recruitment process of that particular candidate, though he was not placed with us. So these are two major advices in the initial stage for any recruiter that I could give.
Great. Thank you so much, Neha. Just last one in general topic, right? So let's say if you want to retire after a couple of years or so, what you would plan to do in your life?
Okay. So obviously currently I am focusing on a lot of content creation. In fact, I have a whole diary which has done all the script writing already. I'm just yet to shoot them. So that is one thing which I'm already in plans with. But yes, I definitely have a thing that I like traveling. Again, I like going to mountains. I like the idea of traveler's hostel as well. So someday I may look out for, something like that, where I would rent some accommodation and I would invite people, I would host people to come and enjoy their travel period, and maybe some hostel or something like Airbnb or something. I don't know. That is just some idea that I have at this moment. Let's see.
Okay, I think great idea because already there are lots of people love traveling these days, right? And again, like they don't want to stick to one particular place to take the advantage of that remote opportunity many organizations provide as well, right?
Yes.
And they keep traveling to different places, like you have rightly mentioned about Airbnb. People keep hopping different places, staying in Airbnb, working as well, and plus enjoying the life. So,
Yes.
have you ever thought of coming out of Gujarat to any other places as well?
Yeah, I mean, I had an option. In fact, I did my internship from Mumbai because I was born in Mumbai. You could say the entire Khandan resides in Mumbai. So it's like I had that option. But as of now, I'm very much comfortable with Gujarat, and the people here, they are very helpful. And make up your mind to leave Gujarat. But yes, I definitely have thoughts that someday I would like to explore some other areas of the country.
And if so, which city or which?
Probably Rajasthan, because I don't know, I'm very much fascinated with monumental places. So Rajasthan is obviously a place of palaces and a lot of other historical things. So maybe Rajasthan, any of the cities in Rajasthan.
Great, great, great. Thank you. It was really a very interesting discussion. So, last piece of advice to all our recruiters friends who are available in I'm a Recruiter community. Any advice, any suggestion from our friend who is based out in Surat, Gujarat, to any corner of India? Because there are many folks in and around different places located in India. So, advice, suggestion, any tips for them?
Yes. So I would like to add this one thing, that don't rely on the available sources that we have. constantly keep looking out for more and more new sources that you can develop. We as recruiters, we as HRs keep on telling, employees and candidates that you need to upskill yourself to get this raise, or maybe you need to upskill yourself to get this job. So I think it's time that we recruiters also upskill ourselves and learn something beyond recruitment. And probably marketing is something which everybody should start with, learning marketing as recruiters.
So with this, we are almost on the time. So thank you, Neha, for it, and thank you for sharing all the great examples plus the challenges each recruiter have faced. And not everyone has got the opportunity to share their thoughts out in front of thousands or millions of people. But thank you for being courageous by creating Instavali HR. So I would request everyone from IMA Recruiter community to go and check and follow Instavali HR. Definitely,
Hi.
there's some very good content out there and people can definitely relate. And if you can relate, please do share more and more videos of Neha, Instavali HR. Plus, don't forget to follow I Am Recruiter as well as a community.
Yes, thank you so much for those kind words, Mr. Prafulla. In fact, I'm looking forward to more of things coming out from I Am a Recruiter community, because this was, even I told you on the call that this was one such community which I just discovered randomly when I was looking out for something else. I'm happy to see, honestly, because I don't see such communities specifically focusing on recruitment, on talent acquisition. HR communities are several, but there is no such community talking about recruitment. So again, hats off to you guys that you are doing an wonderful job. I really hope that we can collaborate in the future for other more things that we can do together and help people out.